Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Alexia, and in this video I want to talk about the weird and wonderful benefits of Ashtanga yoga. Ashtanga yoga is a dynamic form of yoga, and so for anyone who's practiced it, you might have experienced some of its benefits. Some might be more obvious than others. So for example, given its dynamic nature, you might have felt an increase in your strength, maybe even your flexibility. But what if I were to tell you that practicing Ashtanga might also help you increase your discipline, your well-being, and you might actually even learn some Sanskrit? So in this video, I'd like to talk about, according to my experience, the 10 key benefits of Ashtanga yoga. Some are based on science and some are from my own experience. Number 1, increase in strength. Now, in Ashtanga yoga, we start off with a series of sun salutations. This asks the body to move through some quite demanding postures. For example, plank pose, lower plank, downward facing dog. So even from the very beginning, Ashtanga yoga might seem physically challenging. After the sun salutations, we move through the standing postures and then the seated postures. And even when we're doing the seated postures, we ask the body to move through a vinyasa, which also includes plank, lower plank, upper facing dog, downward facing dog. So even when we move on to the seated postures, again, there's a physical demanding element to the practice. One study found that Ashtanga may be able to help increase upper body and core strength. 26 participants were split into two groups. One group practiced Hatha yoga while the other practiced Ashtanga yoga. Now what they found is that the people in both groups showed an improvement in core and upper body strength. And perhaps not surprisingly, better results were seen in Ashtanga yoga, given that it is a more physically demanding practice. Number 2 is another physical benefit. It is an increase in flexibility. Now, whether you are a very flexible person or not, everyone really can practice yoga and everyone can practice Ashtanga yoga. Now, Ashtanga yoga will most likely help you increase your flexibility, mainly in your hamstrings. I know that's what I found, especially given all the forward folds that we do throughout the practice. So with time, be patient, and you will most likely see some benefits to your flexibility. Now again, it's no surprise that a study found that Ashtanga was able to help increase flexibility. In this study, 12 participants with an average age of 21 were split into two groups. The yoga group attended 25 Ashtanga yoga classes over the course of 15 weeks. The other group was a control group and they didn't practice yoga. The results showed that the yoga group had an increased upper body endurance and increased trunk flexibility. Number 3 is an improvement in well-being. Now, for anyone who has an established yoga practice, you might have felt that it's been your companion when things tend to get kind of challenging in life. I know for me at least, Ashtanga was there to help me throughout my most challenging days. And so it wasn't a surprise again when I was able to find a study which showed that Ashtanga did help improve people's well-being. Now, 31 participants took part in this study and they did Ashtanga yoga twice a week for 9 weeks. The results of the study found that after 9 weeks, the participants had significant improvements in depression and anxiety symptoms, self-esteem, and also they had a better capacity to connect. Number 4, an increase in overall health. Now, it can be argued that any form of physical exercise can help improve our overall health. So again, it's no surprise to find out that Ashtanga yoga can help increase overall health. In this study, 48 participants took part and were split into two groups. The yoga group practiced a modified version of Ashtanga yoga twice a week for 6 weeks. The other group was the control group and they didn't practice any yoga. The results of this study found that those in the Ashtanga yoga group showed significant improvements in positive mood, fatigue, energy, quality of life, sleep quality, and short-term memory. Number 5, improvement in weight management. Now, when you start to practice Ashtanga yoga, especially if you do it on a more daily basis, this helps you also try to be a bit more careful about the food that you eat. So it was no surprise when I found a study which showed that Ashtanga was able to help with weight management. 14 children aged 8 to 15 took part in this study. All participants attended an Ashtanga yoga class 3 days a week for 3 months. Each class lasted approximately 1 hour and 15 minutes, and they did a modified Ashtanga yoga sequence. The results of the study showed that most participants lost an average of 2 kilos after a 12-week program. After the science-based benefits, these are now some of the more experiential-based benefits. Number 6, you might learn some Sanskrit. For anyone who's ever been to an Ashtanga yoga class, especially if it's a lead class, you might have heard some Sanskrit. This can be at the very beginning through the chant or the opening mantra. It could be through the count that the teacher leads you through. It could also be through the names of the poses. Now, for example, at the very start of the practice, the teacher will guide the class through a sequence of poses, the sun salutations, using a Sanskrit count. Ekam, 1. Inhale, hands up. Dve, 2. Exhale, fold. Trini, 3. Inhale, lengthen. Chatvari, 4. Exhale, lower plank. Pancha, 5. Inhale, upward facing dog. Shat, exhale, downward facing dog. Now, following this count at the beginning might feel a bit strange. However, with time, it will become very, very familiar to you. So give it some time. And one nice tip is to try to actually start to learn. Start learning the numbers and even the poses. And this will help you get a better understanding of the sequence of poses throughout the Ashtanga yoga practice. Number 7, you might learn about moon days. Moon days is something which you might often hear in the Ashtanga yoga world, especially if you practice in a more traditional Ashtanga studio, which has a morning Mysore program. Now, what this generally means is that for 2 days of the month, during full moon and new moon, we tend to not practice Ashtanga yoga. Now, these are considered the special days or our day off. If you want more information on that, click on the link below in the description box. Number 8, Ashtanga is a lifelong practice. In my Ashtanga classes, I have students who are 19 years old, and I also have students who are 60 years old. Some are even older. So Ashtanga, it might be a physically demanding practice. However, with certain modifications, it can be practiced by everyone. Ashtanga may help to develop some discipline. Ashtanga yoga is one of those practices where you will see the results as long as you practice consistently. Now, it normally asks us to practice 6 days a week. However, if that is too often for you, practice as often as you can. The truth is that the more you practice, or the more often you practice, the more easy your practice will become. You will develop the strength and you will develop the flexibility. It's best to practice a little bit every day rather than for like 1.5 hours or 2 hours once a week or once whenever you remember it. So try maybe to keep that in mind. If 6 days a week seems too much to you, think of it this way. Practice a little bit, if possible, every day, and this will help make the practice that much easier every time then you step onto the mat. And number 10, you will learn to move at your own pace. Now, especially if you practice in a Mysore style setting, you will learn to practice at your own pace. On an inhale, you lengthen. On an exhale, you fold. This is at your pace, your breath. You follow the practice and just do the best that you can. Let me know any other benefits you would like to add to my list. And if you found this video helpful, please like, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.